The Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SSANU, has called on the federal government to urgently address the ongoing electricity crisis in universities across the country. In a New Year message yesterday in Abuja, Ssanu, national president, Mr. Mohammed Ibrahim, expressed concern over rising electricity costs in universities, stating they were hindering their ability to function effectively. Ibrahim emphasized that a reliable power supply was vital for the administration, teaching, research, and community service within the university system. We urge the federal government to take immediate action to resolve this energy crisis, as it directly impacts students, the primary stakeholders in our universities, Ibrahim said. Ibrahim noted that this commitments were crucial for maintaining industrial harmony and ensuring the welfare of university staffs. Well, I went to the University of Port Harcourt, and oftentimes we had this same issue, and we had loads. Nigerian universities actually we've come in terms to accepting several challenges that we encounter while in school. But electricity is one thing that is very paramount, because we have hostels in schools and we have students that stay in there. Imagine staying in a hostel and you're supposed to study, every night, and then there is no power supply and you have to burn candles, or you use rechargeable lanterns and all of that, and this is an institution of learning. But it's a thing for concern just coming from the Ssanu to the federal government. Do you think this is actually a necessity that should be handled in the universities in Nigeria?
Yes, thank you. Yes, electricity or power supply is very, very crucial to the day-to-day life of a nation, not just the university sector,
yes,
but nation generally. Then particular emphasis on the university. Without power supply, the students cannot even do their researches. The students cannot do their book work properly. You will see that performance rating will be low if power keep cutting. It will affect, even the best brains will be affected, because they need electricity to study. So power, it's very, very crucial. Very, very crucial in a learning environment, because the industrial partners, like those who provide services like photocopy, the business centers, the cyber cafes and all that, the restaurant owners, and shopping malls and all that around the universities, they need power supply to thrive. Even though they may want to go for alternative power supply, you see that will affect prices. That will affect demand and supply. So it is very, very crucial that the government see that as a matter of urgency, possibly encourage the universities to have alternative power sources, instead of relying solely on what comes from the national grid. Okay. Like, why do I say this? I was reading an article some days ago. I found out that University of California, their budget is even bigger than the budget of Nigeria. Okay, I mean, the universities out there are wired in such a way that they can function even without government interference. Everything, they have their power supply, they have everything. So the universities here also should be encouraged. The university leadership should be encouraged to look at alternative power supplies like renewable energy, like the wind energy, the solar. I mean, Africa is very hot, and we have lots of energy conserved in our ecosystem. So the universities should look into, the federal government at this point should heed to the call of Ssanu. Okay? Should heed to the call of Ssanu and encourage power holding to do adequate supplies to the universities. Possibly, government can subsidize electricity supplies to school as a way of encouraging education. I mean, these are policies that are lacking. These are policies that are lacking on the table. We need the right people to take over the jobs so that things will be turned around. I mean, what stops government from, okay, power holding, this is what we intend to do. Assess it and give us a budget. Okay, from this, please, we want to cut costs. We want to subsidize electricity supplies to our schools. That will encourage the economy. That will even boost economic affairs around the universities. You see, prices of commodities that the students buy will drop. Prices of food like ice cream and all that will drop because some of those facilities are being manned by electricity supply. So all this should be considered. And I believe Ssanu shouldn't just do an oral public request. There should be a proposal. There should be a proper proposal sent to the federal government. Even add up what I just suggested. Government can cut electricity costs, supply to the schools. This is just a way of, encouraging studies, welfare of students, security, because it will also improve security around the university community. Imagine a university community that is always dark at night. That is a community where we have people from diverse culture. Behavioral patterns are different because they are from different family backgrounds and all that. So you don't know who is who. We will have people who steal, those who will willfully want to commit rape, those who would want to do all sorts of vices. So when there is steady power supply, moreover at night, you see everywhere will be brightened, people will be scared to commit one or two things. So it is encouraging that the federal government heed the call of Ssanu as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you, Barrister Ndamzi. Well, I also wanted to ask you, in the university sector, there are a lot of crises that are ongoing, but electricity is one of the concerns that Ssanu has actually pointed out to the federal government. The instance of how do I put it? This university allocation, the paying of university staffs and lecturers and academic and non-academic staffs. There's actually been a thing of concern that involved the ASU, into it. But my thoughts on this, my question on this is, why do you think that? Because if you have to check this, the education system, this is like a basic. This is where we groom the leaders of tomorrow. This is where talents, gifts are actualized. But we notice oftentimes that the governments that are supposed to oversee these things from actualizing do not pay attention to them. And education is one of them. Security, like you mentioned, is one of them. Electricity is one of them. Good roads is one of them. But we always come in terms with the problem where governments do not pay attention to this. Even health is one of them. Well, it's just been a thing of a tussle, more like we're asking for too much, in the country, for things that are supposed to be given to the country, to the citizens of Nigeria. I actually wanted to ask you, do you think that this problem, because to me it's a problem, we keep calling on the federal government, please address electricity, please address education, please address the dilapidated roads, please address health sector, please address all of these things, because these are things for concern. But oftentimes it's either they do them halfway, leave them, or they come to, like you talked about the Ssanu writing a proposal to the federal government. Imagine these proposals are being written to the federal government and nothing is done about it. And it just continues. But I just wanted to get your candid thoughts about the situation while it keeps going on and on over and over again.
Okay, I would want to begin from the angle of power generation. Let us look at power generation, okay. Then we will discuss other concerns you raised. Currently now, in Nigeria, the states can generate, okay, and transmit power.
Okay.
The states now have, powers under our laws now. They can have their own independent power plants.
Okay.
So, this call for power supply to the federal government, I also think that the federal government is overburdened.
Okay.
That is the reason why the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu saw the need to decentralize electricity supply, giving the states powers, licenses to build and operate its own power plants. So the states also should be encouraged to do consistent and permanent power supplies to the state-owned universities, polytechnics, college of education, and all that. All tertiary, in fact, even down to the secondary schools, because there are the secondary schools also they need electric power supply. The primary school also they need power supply. The kindergarten, the crèche, they need power supply to thrive. They must watch their cartoon. They must look at other toys and all that are powered by electric. So the states should be encouraged. Further calls should be reduced to the federal government on power. Because federal government, in my own view, have started providing solution, even though we have not seen it. But policy-wise, they have said, okay, states, you can generate, you have our licenses, generate, build, operate, and transmit. So the states now can do that. So also the states are empowered to build modular refineries. Most of these power plants are gas powered. Some are solar powered. And some also can be coal powered. Like the ones mainly that comes from India, the Belarus, Peru, and all that. These ones are mainly powered by the coal. The Indians are very good with coal-powered plants. I once had a good relationship sometime with a man, but he has passed anyway. So then he was into these power systems and all that. He kept sending me, different version of power plants we can propose to the government. At some point, I proposed to the government here in Rivers State then, two past administrations. And the man I sent the proposal then, who was in charge of, what's that? He's not in ministry. He was in charge of, there's this agency here in Rivers State that functions like the Bureau for Public Enterprise. They woo investors to come in and all that. So I wouldn't want to mention the big man. I took the proposal to him and it didn't fly for reasons of corruption. They wanted tip up front before they could encourage the investors to come. I told him, I said, but sir, this is an investor who only wants, a level playing field, provide security, provide logistics. We have the technical know-how. We have the facility. We can do build, operate, and transfer. That was the proposal then. Build, operate, and transfer for, I think, 12, 14 years. Okay, but it didn't fly. So why did I bring in this? I brought this in to buttress the idea of Indians and coal-powered power plants. So, then now, reconciling it with what you earlier asked about the university community and the corruption and all that, I want to lay proper foundation on how corruption also can be killed in Nigeria. Corruption cannot only be killed by looking for those who have indulged in maybe economic sabotage, financial misappropriation, bribery and all that. You can't stop it by that. There should be an anti-corruption education. There should be an anti-corruption. See, anti-corruption, in my opinion, should be a course of itself in the universities. Do you know why? That is where we train out leaders that will take over from those who are wherever they are today.
Okay.
Because
you made mention about a structure that has been put in place. When we talked about the Bauchi situation, you talked about a structure that has been put in place that everyone that comes in has a motive of, did you say sniffing?
Yeah, pilfering for the pulse of the state.
From the pulse of the state. You know, when the structures have been put in place for a very long time, and then you are bringing up a particular course in the higher institution about anti-corruption, do you think that can work, that can fall into place?
Yes, it will encourage facing out corruption. Why do I say this? The university, as we are known, even in during the days of our graduation, when the vice chancellor and others want to declare us graduates, they will tell us that the university, that these students have met the standard of the university in character and in learning. So that is to say, we didn't just go there to learn and acquire knowledge. We went there also for our tutors, being the lecturers. You know, the teachers, you know, should be people with high level of integrity and should be people of character. That they now, you know, imbibe it, transmit it, put it into us.
Do you also know that in this higher institution, the education sector, that the structure has also been put there?
Of course. Of course. We are, no doubt, the university system is polarized in Nigeria. No apologies to any of the schools. The university system, I repeat, is polarized, corrupt. I mean, the corruption led to, you know, lecturers wanting to sleep with students for grades. That's corruption. Corruption is not all about stealing money. You do this for me, you influence me getting this on my seat. It means I'm corrupt. If I cannot, you know, keep to regulatory standard, comply to university rules and regulation, comply to the Senate rules, comply to whatever policy your department have, it means you are non-compliant, it means you are corrupt. Because when they do that, they are trying to bend the system. It is no more the system thinking. It is they now trying to bend the system to think in their own way, thereby encouraging corruption. Imagine a female who visited a lecturer for grade, sleep with a lecturer for grade. What do you think such a student will offer upon graduation? There's nothing to offer. I met, with no apology, I met one copper one day in the bank. A copper who was just mobilized to come. You know, looking at her, the uniform was so shiny. So we're in the bank, and the next thing she tapped me, say, "Hello, sir. Please help me feel this." I felt bad. A copper, a graduate, found it difficult to feel her own sleep to get her money. I mean, isn't that embarrassing? That such a student went through the process of learning and remolding of character, because it is believed that the university system is where your character will be shaped. Your character will be, you know, to an extent, so that when you go out there to the labor market, you will represent your school. Which certificate does he or she bear? they call the name of the school. Such a student, because of quality input, wherever him or she finds herself, means truly that this person went through the process of learning, the process of character refining, and today he or she is making positive impact. So corruption, if we introduce anti-corruption courses in our universities, it will boost the efforts of recovering our nation. Because as it is, corruption is endemic in our nation. Corruption has had great-grandchildren. Corruption has had branches all over. So for us to face out corruption, we need to start teaching the next generation about the do's and don'ts of corruption.
Okay.